I made it to Camp 1 at 11:11. I've been here for about 50 minutes. I gotta thank my blessings that the weather was so good. Started out this morning. It was about, I don't know, like 5 to 10 degrees at base camp. No wind. But I haven't been in cold weather for a long time, so my body wasn't ready for it. And it was cold, and it really took me a while to get moving. And I overestimated how the altitude would affect me. I guess about 4 hours in, I was really hitting a wall. The fear of going through so many of these ice falls, seeing that, you're just a sitting duck. And I was like, what am I doing? This is, it's like suicide. Yeah, the ice doesn't fall very often, and you can see when it's fallen recently because there's like big, huge blue chunks of ice that doesn't have any snow on it. Like it fell, sometime in maybe the last week or something. And I saw a lot of that. The goal was leave early in the morning before the sun comes up, so the ice has been chilled all night, so it's more stable, but be able to see a lot of the risks as the night sky started turning into dawn. And that's what happened at about 5:30. I put the headlamp away, and you could really see where there was precarious stuff going on. And the whole idea was, know where you got to move fast. And if something does fall, look around and where could you take cover? Because, the ice, when it breaks, you probably got, a good 3 seconds. And, 10 feet or 20 feet of movement in that short period of time, you could definitely get out of the way in some places. There's other places where, if there was a landslide, big leaf pieces came down, you got nothing. You got nothing. And, it's very frustrating to think about, why am I putting myself in that kind of situation where, yeah, the odds are very low that it's going to break when I'm right there, but you get in a car and you don't drive without a seatbelt on, especially if you're going to try to max out the car at 120 miles an hour or something. That's never a good idea. And, so I got a lot of mixed feelings. Now getting to Camp 1, the real danger is over. Well, if I go back from Camp 1 to base camp, I'm going to have to relive all that stuff over again. But I'll have way faster legs. And I think I'll be able to do it in half the time. Going up now, it's all about how well does my body acclimate to the altitude. Yeah, I'm not proud of the fact that literally less than 5 days ago, what's that, like 120 hours, I was in Manhattan. And now I'm at base camp. I think it's like 21,000 feet. I'm taking some altitude medication. I think what's really helped me is, guys at base camp gave me something called Diamox, which is like a prescription drug for a lot of different ailments, but it's supposed to have incredible effects on altitude sickness. And a good 24 hours after I took this medication, I really started feeling better. My body adapts very quickly to altitude, just walking around. Even though I took that Diamox, I absolutely hit the wall today. For a good 5 hours, and even the last 2 hours, or the last 2.5 hours, I took 3 steps, and I'm just hyperventilating. Like I couldn't outrun any falling ice. Like I was just hanging on, man, hanging on. It was like, it took effort to speak. Like I was just, my heart rate was so high, and I was just trying to stay below lactate threshold. And the air is cold, and I don't want to burn out my lungs because then you could risk getting an infection. So I was trying hard to just go as fast as I could without just getting totally maxed out. Interesting enough, I didn't have headaches. I think the Diamox is really helping. And had I been sitting in a chair at 21,000 feet, I think I'd be okay. But with a full backpack on my back and 7 hours of uphill, I was just maxed out. And you can't. There's no aid station. There's no chair. You're walking through the valley of death. You like this ice. It's very precarious. We were going over these ladders, and my legs were so tired that that placing your crampon on each ladder rung precisely where the crampon wouldn't trip it up, I had to dig so deep. It was like a max out effort if I was doing a squat, because I had to force the precision, and you have to look at the ladder, and what's behind the ladder is the abyss, and I'm scared of heights, so I'm like shaking from the ladder experience, and my legs are so tired. Oh man, I had to dig so deep. I was crying at numerous points because I really went to the well. I was pushing hard. There was no option to slow down and take it easy. You're going through the ice fields. I didn't see a single Westerner. It was only Sherpas. I told the organizer, the guy it's like the big boss of this guide company. I said, I want the express version. I'm not sitting on this mountain for 6 weeks. I'm doing bottled oxygen. If I gotta increase the flow rate, listen, I'm not trying to be any superhero. I want to get the job done and take what I can to make it easier, safer, because it's hard enough with what I'm doing. So I'm the first guy up here. Camp 1's like basically just starting to get set up. I don't know, there's got to be like 10 tents. Nobody's here. So I'm going to sit put for 2 days. I think I'm going to feel a lot better after hopefully a good night's sleep. I got my melatonin. I got this Diamox. It's really helping. But I'm so humbled. And I know going to Camp 2, it's just super slow. You don't want to sweat. You got to keep the heart rate low. Try to keep your calories up. And just be humble. Thank God the avalanche dangers and the falling ice are pretty much behind me. So those are my first thoughts getting here. I'll tell you, man, it brought me to my knees. The last hour, the Sherpa actually carried my backpack. How humiliating was that? I had nothing. I'll tell you, I think one of the reasons I pushed myself so hard is because you just give up and you just tap into the spiritual side. How I can't do this and I can't give up. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep going until I die. And pushing yourself that hard is like, wow, man. That's happening to a place that very, very few people get to. And I can't say I recommend it. But if you get through it, man,